in this session, I will talk about using how to use MicroProfile to create your microservices, and hopefully it's very easy. And I am Emily Jiang from IBM. I'm a Java champion. I'm a Liberty microservice architect. I work on MicroProfile and Open Liberty. So give you a quick a background about MicroProfile. So MicroProfile is under Eclipse Foundation, has been around for about 4 years. And this year, MicroProfile established its own working group. So it's we spend a lot of time to work on write up the working group. So which means MicroProfile evolved itself to be a spec project. So the APIs from MicroProfile is become standard for developing cloud native microservices. So MicroProfile community is very diverse in terms of contributors and also implementations. So the contributors is from many companies, including IBM, Red Hat, Piara, Tommy Tribe, and etc. And also there's about a dozen implementations for MicroProfile. In IBM, we have Open Liberty, WebSphere Liberty. Red Hat has Quarkus, Wildfly, Piara Fish has Piara, and etc. Tommy, Halligan, Fujitsu has the Apache Launcher, Cumulus, Hammock, Prana, and Geronimo. So in the MicroProfile has very rapid release cadence. So every year we have about 3 releases, with the exception this year because we are trying to set up a working group. So latest release is MicroProfile 3.3 back in the February 2020, and then in the next couple weeks, in November time, we are trying to release MicroProfile 4.0. So which is kind of trying to align with Jakarta E8. So this is a quick building block of MicroProfile. So it has 4 specifications borrowed from Jakarta E, CDI, JAX-RS, JSON-B, and JSON-P, and also it created its own 8 specifications. So these 12 specifications formed into a platform release. And then on the right-hand side is a standalone release. So this release is standalone releases basically released in the last couple of years. We want a few more feedback before we merge them into the platform release. So the box in gray has not been released. Hopefully this year we can release the long-running actions. So which is help you to do the transactional microservices. So in this talk, I will talk about this platform release. So basically, when you create a microservice, it's very popular to create a RESTful microservice. And then you use JAX-RS, CDI, JSON-B, and JSON-P. And then you can use MicroProfile REST client to connect these microservices together. And then you need to think about quality of services. You use MicroProfile config to be able to help you to store the config information in the underlying environment, and you use the API, MicroProfile config API, to directly inject into your microservices. And then you use the MicroProfile fault tolerance to create resilient microservices, and you use JWT propagation to secure microservices, and you use the MicroProfile Open API to document it. And this is the quality services you need. And next thing, you need to deploy your microservice to the cloud. Obviously, you need to talk to your cloud infrastructure, you use MicroProfile Health to signal when the whether this microservice is ready to receive request or is still alive. And then also you can add some metrics, and also you can tune up this service invocation using a MicroProfile open tracing, so that if something goes wrong, you can figure out which microservice is not behaving. So this is like a very quick tour about this is MicroProfile. So how can I get started? So we have a MicroProfile starter, like a Spring starter, the start.microprofile.io. And also, as I mentioned, we have the MicroProfile extension pack that is help you to create like a macro profile, like a microservices using MicroProfile. And also, if you are IntelliJ user, you can use MicroProfile Starter plugin as well. So I will give you a quick demo, like how to use the VS Code MicroProfile extension to create your macro services using MicroProfile, and explain the MicroProfile specifications for you. So let's see. So this is my VS Code. So you can see the MicroProfile extension. I just accept this one. Maybe I say gdconf my, and then I can choose the version 3.3. And then there's this is a runtime implemented is the MicroProfile 3.3. Choose Open Liberty. I know it's Venkat and Trisha talk about the latest Java, but majority of us is still on Java 8. Java 8. So I use 8, and then I choose all of them, and then create here. And then I can. So with that, it's directly give me two microservices, is service A and service B. So service B is a backend service. It has two like endpoint. One is like a service controller. The other one is a secured aspect. So this is the service controller has the operation, like do something, taking a parameter and get operation. So how can I make a service A directly call into this operation? So basically I use MicroProfile REST client. So I create an interface here. So directly use the service B's API. And then is kind of, I annotate with register REST client. And then I can directly inject that service into a variable, and then I can call the variable. And then you might ask, how do I know where, how does A know where B lives? How can I tell A the B's location, the service B's location? So for that, we use the MicroProfile config directly to say here is fully qualified class name for this service, example, and gdconf, etc. And then this is the service B's endpoint. So with that, we just plug a B into A. So let me just start service B and service A. If I go to service A, because it's on the Liberty, I can start with Liberty dev mode. So similarly, let me also start a service B. So Maven Liberty Dev. So with the Liberty Dev mode means like you can start this server, and then you can do your code change, and then it will the plugin automatically figure out if you do a save and find a different something has changed, it automatically update your application. So it's kind of service A is up running already. So it's on the endpoint 9080. So let's go to service A. So not receive time. So here is up already. Let me see. So it's directly call into service B. So how do I know it's really call into service B? Let me go to service B here. This is service B. I can change here. I can say So here is service B. Save this one. And then I can go back here. See, you can see it's automatically, picked up the change. So next thing I want to demonstrate is how can I configure my microservice. So here, in service A, I want to configure service A. Basically, I own service A and service B is owned by somebody else. So I can say here, I say we are alive. We are alive. We are alive. We are alive. At a GDconf. However, I want to make sure it can be configurable. So I use variable, and then I want to inject this variable. I can say at inject at config property, and actually I want to define this this property. I can say conference, and then I say conf, and then I save it. And then you can see here, it's give me error message. It couldn't find this kind of conference defined anywhere. So let me define somewhere. Let me define in the microprofile dash configure properties and say conference equals GDconf. Save this one. As you can see here is automatically updated. Let's go back to the browser. I can see we are live at GDconf. So the beauty is like that conference, that variable, that property you can define in the as the environment variable system property. If you use the deploy to Kubernetes, you can use the config map to define the conference as well. So next thing is demonstrate to you how can I create a resilient microservice. Let me put in some bug in this service B here. So here I say sometimes the service B is not working. So just plug in here. So every 3 times is kind of delay, and every 5 times is through exception. So let's go back to the service A, call into service B, and here is look, you can see it's really slow, and then later on U3 is not working. So considering I only own the service A, I don't have the permission to fix the service B. So how can I make sure my services still works? So works no matter what. So in doing this, I can use a MicroProfile for tolerance. I can say, okay, I want to plug in retry if something not working. And also we also saw some really slow the response. I can say actually I only want to wait up to 100 milliseconds. If something not working, I don't want to wait. So in doing this, the best practice is always you use the asynchronous programming. So here you can return completion stage. You need to return a completion stage, and here obviously you need to create a completion stage. You need a completable future dot completed future. So now let's go back to the browser again. Let's see whether you can still see the the slowness or not. Let me see the browser. So you can see it's always working. You can see sometimes it does retry. So the thing is when you get a timeout, you get exception, and then retry kick in, and then give you a good response. The other thing is when you deploy to the cloud, is always best practice. You can plug in the fallback, so you can have the fallback operation. You say okay, this is fallback. So I can see here is I have a language server support. So because I haven't defined this method, tell me actually I need to define this method. So let me define that. So here I will say fallback. So it's happy, and then it's obviously you need to do something different. I will say this is my fallback. Save that. So for this one, it's good to demonstrate in the like cloud environment. So when the service B is not ready, and then this one will kick in. So this is a quick demonstration about resilient microservices. And the other things that, as you can see, quickly show you the like the POM. So to how easy it is, it generates only one dependency depending on the MicroProfile API, the version 3.3, and the other is all the Liberty plugin. So that's it. You don't have any other dependency need to be defined. It's very very small, make your like the application very easy to manage. So for this one, actually, is with the MicroProfile, automatically it has the some metrics aspect. So you can see the localhost 9080 and slash metrics. You can get auto box. You can get a lot of metrics. Like for the class loading and etc. If you want to add some additional metrics, and then you can say using MicroProfile metrics API to directly add more metrics. You can see here is I can say simply timed, for example here, and say okay, my fancy timer. Receive it, and now if I go here, so you can see it's it will get I need to invoke this operation first, and then the timer, refresh this one. You can see it's a lot like metrics has been created for you, like a fancy timer. Also the fault tolerance give you more metrics, like how many times the retry being called, and etc. and etc. The other thing is auto box. You also got the open API support. So you can see localhost 9080 slash open API, and then you got all the Swagger display here. And then since we deploy to Open Liberty, it also give you the UI. So you can see all these UI automatically generate all the JAX-RS endpoint and etc. Things for you. If you want to add some additional description and etc., so you can use the MicroProfile open API annotations. Let me quickly add this annotation, like open API annotation to describe the written code, response code, and etc. Let me copy this one, save this one. So it's updated. So now I can refresh. So you can see you get let's see. Let's save that. So you can see the you directly get all the response code and all the information about that. So the other thing is also the MicroProfile health exposed to endpoint. One is slash health slash live. The other one is slash health slash ready. Basically, use this annotation and to put here the algorithm and what kind of circumstances your microservice is still alive. for example, you run auto RAM and probably you have better to say down, and here is ready. So it's this readiness check. So you can plug it, like work with the Kubernetes readiness probe. So here, like the good algorithm is like if you use the database, you check to see whether you can connect with it, and then you can signal whether you are up or down. The other thing is the trace aspect. So basically, it's kind of I have been doing the like a few invocations and etc. So and also all these invocations is actually automatically being automatically being traced. So if I see the trace span, see. So you can see it's kind of now it's kind of all this span is correlated. You know, it's like it's spent on the service B by how long, and spent on service A how long, and etc. So this is all properly correlated. So this is all done microprofile like open tracing. So the final thing I want to say is how to secure your microservice. So that use MicroProfile GWT. So MicroProfile GWT is basically based on the GWT, it adopt the GWT, and the only thing it add is UPN and group. So you use in the backend, you use the Jakarta EE security. You use the rules allowed to secure this backend. So here is set protected. So in the client, you directly like in the secure, like you directly invoke the backend, and then also you in the header you pass in the GWT token, and then it's in the GWT token here it's generated token. So you set the UPN, you set the group. So here you set group protected. So in this secure aspect, so if I go to this backend, so directly call into this service B's backend. So if I change the service B, so here if I change the client to say here is admin. So instead of group, I say it's admin. And then if I go back here, so it's not allowed to access the backend. So with that, my time is up. I also finished all the demos, and this is all the takeaway. So you can take a look at the microprofile.io, and if you want to learn more, go to go to openliberty.io/guide. So it will have many guides to help you to learn microprofile and etc. So with that, I think I'm done. Let me go back.
Thank you, Emily. I'm back. Thank you so much for your talk. Thank you so much for sharing about microprofile. I'm a Java EE developer in a sense. I worked with Java EE many years ago, and I think one of the interesting things about microprofile is how it leverages the Java EE APIs, and then it builds on top of it with some new ideas and new other specifications. I won't call it specification, I just call new APIs, right? That are built on top of microprofile that combine with the Java EE or Jakarta EE APIs. There is a question though, somebody sent on Twitter, how would you, it's a tricky question, but I gotta ask, somebody asked and I gotta give that. How would you compare microprofile in Spring Boot for the average Java developer who's building microservices and REST APIs and so on?
Yeah, that's a very popular question. A lot of people ask me that. Actually, it's interesting enough. This week, I did a talk to compare microprofile with Spring at JCon. So it's that was yesterday. So it's I think it's if you look at YouTube, it's search my name, and there's the MicroProfile and Spring comparison. So in summary, they are very comparable. And one big difference is MicroProfile is a kind of open standard. Spring, is directly contributed by Pivotal. But I think we learn from each other. I think we got some ideas from Spring, especially like a config, the config tool is going to be released soon, like a config profiles, and also the config also the config properties, all this kind of idea we borrowed it from Spring. So it's a really good community. So we learn from each other. They are all pretty awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.